Hi, I'm Cara Comini of Health, Home, and Happiness, and we are going to talk right now about what you can and cannot eat on the GAPS diet. GAPS diet is the Gut and Psychology Syndrome diet. It's based on the specific carbohydrate diet, and it limits the starches and carbohydrates that you eat as well as processed foods. So what you can eat on the GAPS diet is meat, including meat stock. This makes up a large part of your diet, so this diet is not generally suitable for vegetarians. As an aside, if you are a vegetarian and you're interested in healing your gut, the body ecology diet isn't completely vegetarian, but it's suited a lot better for those that aren't comfortable eating meat. After meat on GAPS, you can eat eggs, non-starchy vegetables, including cultured vegetables like kimchi, sauerkraut, beet kvass, and etc. You can eat fruit, and we use fruit to sweeten as much as possible. You can eat coconut products like coconut milk, shredded coconut flour. This is how we do baking in GAPS. GAPS baking is mostly consisted of coconut products or sometimes almond flour and eggs. Lots of eggs in GAPS baking. But if you can't eat eggs, first of all, hopefully on GAPS diet you will be able to heal your allergy. But if not, you can still do GAPS without eggs. You just don't have the baked goods. On GAPS, you can also eat nuts and non-starchy seeds like sunflower seeds. The seeds kind of go into the grains thing, and you can't have grains on GAPS. So some people say like, oh, well, buckwheat is really a seed, but it's a starchy one. That's why she specifies non-starchy seeds. But you can have nuts like almonds, pecans, walnuts, and I will tell you how to soak and then dehydrate them so they're a little bit salty and they're much easier to digest than just the almonds and walnuts, pecans, that type of nut that you get from the store. You can have non-starchy beans. GAPS allows navy beans, which are just the small white ones, and those are good. SCD allows black beans also, and a lot of people that are on the GAPS diet find success using black beans after a little bit. There's just different. It's just different. It's not a huge difference in how much starch is in it. You can have honey, and ideally we're going to want to get our honey from the source or from at least a trusted source, because there is talk about cutting honey that's in the store with corn syrup, and corn syrup is definitely not allowed on GAPS. It's made out of corn, which has the harder to digest sugar in it, and it will go back down and feed those pathogenic bacteria and undo all your work. You're allowed to have cultured dairy. A lot of us that were using this for autism took out. We started with gluten-free, casein-free at first, and then after about a year we started introducing cultured dairy. It really depends on if your family has had trouble with dairy in the past or not. By cultured dairy, I mean kefir, which is milk cultured with the little kefir grains, yogurt, and you have to do it 24-hour yogurt to use up all the lactose. The idea behind using cultured dairy is that we want to use up the lactose in the milk. And you can do that by culturing it, because the little probiotics in there do eat up that lactose if it's cultured long enough. You can eat hard cheese and butter. Butter has just a very slight amount of lactose in it. And then ghee, of course, because it has had the lactose removed. Salt, pepper, spices, and herbs are all allowed. This is how we make the food on GAPS taste good. Really, once you get out of the craving of carbohydrates and complex carbs and sugar, the GAPS food tastes great. You can cook up some bacon and use that bacon grease to fry some squash in it, and then top it with smoked paprika and some sea salt, and it's delicious. The food that you cannot eat on GAPS, this is where people get a little frustrated, and it's really important that if you're on the GAPS diet that you follow this exactly. If you eat just a spoonful of rice or a potato when you're not ready for it, then it's going to undo all the work that you just did for the past few days, and you're back at ground zero, starting all over again, trying to starve out that pathogenic bacteria. So the foods that you can't eat on GAPS are foods that feed the pathogenic bacteria, including grains, which is both gluten and non-gluten grains like wheat, oats, rice, quinoa, corn. Sugar, you cannot have polysaccharides. So you can have the honey because it's the simple sugar that's digested high up, and you can have like You can make date paste. Dates are a fruit. And so it has that simple sugar that's digested easily in your digestive system that doesn't get down to feed the pathogenic bacteria. The sugar that you're not allowed to have is like table sugar at the store, either beet or cane, maple syrup, coconut sugar, or agave. And you also don't want to eat any packaged food unless you're very sure of the source. So like we're going to avoid anything with food coloring in it, or corn syrup, or any of that stuff that you kind of know you're not supposed to be eating anyway. So in the next video, we're going to talk about how you get your kids to actually eat this kind of food. I know that's a struggle for a lot of parents, especially parents with kids that are on the autistic spectrum and struggling with sensory processing disorder. It's like, oh, my kid eats 4 different things. There's no way you're taking away 3 of those 4 things. He would starve. And so in the next video, I'm going to tell you how this actually works. And I haven't